Scrappin with Sheri. If you tuned in on Wednesday, it was the day before Thanksgiving, so I created my first Thanksgiving page, and we made this cute little turkey. And I decided I would continue that theme today because Thanksgiving is just passed, and I know I'm going to need a double spread. So I'm going to be using sketch number 15 in our booklet, and I'm going to make it correspond with this sketch, so I do end up with a double spread with the two. Now, when I'm looking at this, this is a really simple sketch in so many ways. Parts of it I'm going to be leaving out, but because I want my border to go down the side to mimic the border on the other page, I'm going to turn my sketch this way. Now, I'll show you the finished product side by side when I get them all finished, but I did want to use the same leaves that I used before. I did want to use this plaid. I'm going to use the blue on the background. I did pull a journaling mat that I had already embellished. This is just one of the regular journaling mats. I layered it on a larger journaling mat. And then these are stickers, I believe. Stickers that I pulled off the sticker pack, and I used foam squares just to pop those up. But I really like this. I like the fact that it corresponds with the plaid. It pulls some of this beigey color. And if you look in the sketch, it does show 4 boxy photos. Well, actually one is journaling, but I'm going to use this in place of this journaling area right here. So I'm just going to lay that there. Now I am going to use this super wide border right here. This is a 2.5-inch border, and I'm going to be using my plaid for that to correspond with the plaid on the opposite side. So let me just grab my trimmer. I did check, and actually, funny enough, this is almost exactly 2.5 inches. This is the one I messed up in the video on Wednesday. So I'm just going to use what I have left over here. I'm all about using up these scraps so I don't have to store them. So this is going to be my 2.5 inch right here. Now remember, I've turned it sideways. I've got my words going across, but I've turned my border sideways. And it shows a little 1/2 inch border here and a little 1/4 inch border here. So I'm going to cut my 1/2 inch out of this one, out of the leaves. And again, I'm bringing the patterns across so it all kind of looks complementary. So my 1/2 inch border is going right there on the edge. But you see, we're right back where we were on the other page. Those two patterns up against each other are really busy. So instead of cutting just a straight 1/4 inch here, I'm going to go back to my border maker system and the Rick Rack cartridge. Grab that. And because I have this scrap left over, I'm going to see if I can use it to actually get my blue borders to go over there. Now, it may be a bust, but hey, we're going to try it and see what happens. This Rick Rack cartridge is fiddly anyway, but I'm going to try using my Post-it notes to see how this works. And this is the sticky edge of my Post-it note, and I am just putting that right here. The sticky edge is here, and then the non-sticky edge is going to be covering the magnet underneath to hold this into place. And I'm going to try putting about 3 of these. With cardstock, I generally only have to use 2, and it works really well. But with this thinner paper and a fiddly cartridge anyway, we'll just see what happens with this. Cannot believe that this is working. Now you'll notice that I don't have enough Rick Rack to go all the way up and down, so let's just lay it on our page and see what we end up with. Remember, I'm trying to use up scraps. I do have another whole page of that blue, but I was trying really, really hard not to have to cut it. If you have not tried this method, give it a shot sometime. Great way to use up scraps that are 1 to 2 inches that just won't cover the magnet on the paper holder. And all you need are some Post-it notes, which most people have laying around anyway. All right, let's lay those to the side right now. We may be through with our border maker system. And let's go ahead and adhere the parts we've got. I'm going to use the repositionable tape for this one just because it's thin. And that's going to be my outside edge on this one, which is kind of opposite of what we did on the other page. But again, we're tying them together by using the same patterns, the same background paper. And I can use my regular tape on this blue. And I'm just going to slide that right up against that one. Now remember, in these sketches, you don't have to do every single element of it. Sometimes it's too busy for me. Sometimes I just don't have all the pieces and parts. And at this point in time in my world, I'm trying to finish up some of my packages to make room for new papers and new fun stuff. Now, because this is not going to go all the way from end to end, I think I'm going to make it open on the top. Because I may just change the sketch all up in just a second. I've got an idea brewing in my head. Now this one is a full length. It's got a little glitch in it right here, but it is a full length. So let's swap those out. I'll put my short one on the inside because I think it'll be easier to cover there. And again, if you're watching this and you're thinking, why don't you just get another sheet of paper? It's because my goal is to use up this collection. And I can't do that if I keep getting out new sheets of paper. This fall collection has been one of my very favorites. Now see, I've got a little glitch there. I'm just going to cut that. And then slide this one over to fit. It's still a little glitchy, but I think it'll be okay. So in looking at our sketch, because we have it turned sideways, there's actually another border and a stripe there. And then we've got room for 3 photos and a journaling mat. But let me put my other page against this one. And let's make them complementary. Let's make them work together. So we've got the same backgrounds. I've got an embellishment here, but I feel like I might want to carry this one up to this top edge. And I could actually go way over and I could cover that up. It would cover up all my glitchies. But we've carried the plaid, we've carried the leaves, we've carried the rickrack look. And I think this is what I'm going to do right here, is just scoot it all the way over and cover that up. The problem is my plaids are running all together. Do you see that? So we need to come up with a way to fix that. And I think what I'm going to do is kind of mimic the brown of my turkey here and maybe back this one in a brown or a deeper red, maybe even a darker blue. So let me pull some cardstock and let's see what we're going to do next. Well, laying over here with my fall collection, I had this leftover piece from Welcome Home. And I think because that's what I used on my turkey looks a little wonky. He looks like he's laying sideways. Guess he'll stay that way. Because I used him on this brown on my turkey, I think this would be a good thing to mat this with, just to help it stand out a little more. And I'm going to do a little bit thicker mat than I normally would, just because I want to make sure that it's separated from all this plaid I have going on over here. So most people would probably cut their mat first and then tape. I tend to tape and then cut and sometimes retape and recut, but it's how my brain works. Let me grab my trimmer. And I'm just eyeballing this. I think what I'm going to do is not cut all the way down, because I want to save this piece of paper right down here. That's a perfect photo mat size. And I can get pretty close on that. I'll snip it with scissors. Normally I wouldn't even think about that, but because I'm using scraps again, that would be a great mat right there for a photo. Oh, wow. Putting that on brown really sets it off, doesn't it? So in doing that, I've managed to carry across the brown I had here. So your eye is going to look at your page and flow across with all of the different elements we've got going on. This is a really big embellishment. And typically I wouldn't use something so large. But by overlapping this border with it, we're not really taking up tons of space. And it still gives me plenty of room for photos. So let's go back to our sketch. So what we did was our border here, we've added this little rickrack, which would take the place of that. Our title, we've just moved into this area. The only thing that we don't have any of is an extra little border here. And I don't really feel like it needs that. I mean, they've covered up part of it anyway. So I think I'm going to leave that part off. Let's lay out photos, especially given the fact that we now have a 2-page spread. Let's lay out photos and see what we could do here. And again, I don't have photos developed yet. So let's just look at where we could possibly put those. We could cut down one here and do some overlapping, cut down one here and do something creative right there. We could go sideways with this, here and here with this. You know, this also helps me in doing, the word photos are upside down, in doing these pages before Thanksgiving, actually. This helps me think about how I might want to take photos for Thanksgiving. I might want to take several that are horizontal and then a few that are vertical and not necessarily zoom in on them quite so much. So I could easily get 7 photos on these 2 pages without much work. So I'm liking that idea. All right, so page 14 from our sketchbook, page 15 from our sketchbook. They're a little bit out of order, but it's okay. We'll go back and catch up pages 12 and 13 next week, and you will have pages, whatever the beginning was, to page 15 in your sketchbook ready. So happy Thanksgiving once again. We'll get ready for the Christmas season next. I hope you're ready for it. Until next time, happy scrapping.